Hello everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from stampyourartout.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Andover, Minnesota in the US, and I'm here to bring you a live paper crafting class on a special day. It is Friday. Oh gosh, what time is it? It's 10 a.m. It's 10 a.m. on Friday, August 23rd, 2024. Thank you all for coming in on the live and joining me. And if you're watching the after live, chime in and say hello. It's fun to see who has joined me in these classes. This is a special live because, well, I love to go live. It's fun. It's fun to teach. But also, I have my paper pumpkin kit, and I was able to create with it. I'm not one of the first people to get my kits. I wait. I have to be patient, and it's really fun to see all the creativity that erupts on the Paper Pumpkin Fan Club on Facebook. If you're not there, please join us. It's just amazing. And then eventually I get my kit and I go to work. And that's what I did. So I got it Monday night, and then I was creating in the last few days. I came up with some cards to share with you today. I also have a page layout already ready to go, except we're not going to have time to share that. I have a fun fold card ready to go. We're not going to have time to share that. So I just create. I love kits. I love that there are fewer supplies to look at, and I focus in and I feel like I get more creative with them. If you're a kit subscriber, make sure that you're subscribed or that you're in the Paper Pumpkin Fan Club. Make sure that you Google that kit so you can see different ideas with it. But you can also just create the cards as is. So let me show you the kit that we're going to focus on today. And as I bring you to the desktop, oops, here I am. As I bring you to the desktop, also note that we have some moderators with us today. They've made some special time on their Friday morning to join us. We have Trisha Josephs on YouTube there to answer your questions, and Lisa Marshall on Facebook. Thanks, gals. So here we go. This is the pamphlet that comes with that month's kit. This is the August kit. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. I am playing around with the August Time for Cake kit. And you get this pamphlet like this. It's like a direction sheet, but you also have information on the back side. You get some information about the kit contents, some dies that coordinate. This little QR code helps you to get to the actual video so you can see how to put the kit cards together as shown. So you have enough supplies to make in this kit 3 of 3 different kinds of cards. You get the envelopes with it. You get pretty much everything with it except for some extra tools. And the only real extra tools that you need are scissors. That's all you really need. When you get your first kit, you get a clear block, and then you can add in extra clear blocks over time. I like to use the blocks that you can purchase from the online store. And if you want to get any of these products, by the way, you can go to my blog at stampyourartout.com and click on shop so that you can, browse around and shop these products. So this is the clear block that comes with the kit. It's not as ergonomic, but it works. And then you get a stamp pad that comes with the kit, but I do like to use my larger one, so I'll be bringing in that one. You also get adhesives that come with the kit, and I'll be using extras. I'll also be using these glue dots, which a lot of people get frustrated with because they're so small and tiny to work with, but every once in a while in your kits, you also get little mini rolls of tear and tape adhesive. So those I would recommend if you're somebody who is not an avid crafter. You casually craft, or you craft once a month or whatever with these kits. This is a great adhesive to invest in. Also the multi-purpose liquid glue, extra dimensionals, although over time with your kit subscription, you're going to get lots of adhesives built up. So I'll be using all of those. I also like to use my seal adhesive. It can frustrate some, but over time you get to get used to it and you work with it pretty well. In addition to my paper scissors, I like to use an extra scissors that has that has a ribbon tied around it, and that one I keep sharp because I only use it with my fabric-like products that I'm cutting, ribbons, twine, that sort of thing. And then for today's projects, I will be using a trimmer, some extra cardstock, and I'll be using today 4 sheets of basic white and 2 sheets, let me get this off there, sorry about that, and 2 sheets of Night of Navy cardstock. I'll also be bringing in some extra envelopes because we're going to cut up the envelopes because they're so pretty. They have like designer paper on the inside of them. And I'll be using some tools. I'm going to use the Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to use the Bone Folder tool. And I'll be using some extra embellishments called the Iridescent Faceted Gems. Okay, now that I've introduced you to things that I'm going to be using, I am going to take these things out of the way so we can bring in more stuff, the kit contents. And thank you all again for joining me on this special Friday morning. It's morning here in Minnesota. I don't know what time it is where you're at, but so fun that you have joined. I appreciate it. So here's again the little flyer that comes with the kit, and then you get stamps, and this month you got an extra bonus stamp set. Now, if you're not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, it's really easy to become one. There is a link in my video description on YouTube. You can click on that and join in on the fun. You don't even have to, the word is subscription, but you don't have to get them every single month. You can take months off. You can get 1 month and stop if you don't like it. We just call it a subscription because it goes automatically to you directly to your mailbox. So yeah, we got an extra stamp set with fun numbers on it. You get this little sheet that guides you into what the stamps look like because they're between two plasticky pieces here to protect them. And then you get some other embellishment. You get this beautiful twine in there. It's a rose gold twine. And you get like all your supplies that you need to punch out. Everything's wrapped in pretty tissue paper, comes in a gorgeous box. Okay, so I have for you, I've separated out the kit pieces, and I have in here, my pile, I've got the 3 separate supplies that you would need in order to make those 3 cards. So again, here are the 3 cards. This card here and the envelope are shown right in this spot. So these are the supplies to make one of those cards. Then we've got the supplies to make this cake card. There's a few other little tiny pieces in that one. Look at this. It's a miniature fork, you guys. It's so cute. Candles, little cake layers. I have seen people using the cake layers so that they have all of one kind in one cake instead of having this variety like you see on the sample here. Okay, so you could do that because you get 3 cards. So you could use, this frosting inside of one, this frosting inside of another, you know what I mean? So you don't have to have that variety there. These pieces here, see how this peels? This is a sticker. So you can just pull that out and stick it on. But you can also, because when you peel that away, you can see that there's like the insides left over. So you could cut around and cut right on that line where the blue separates from the white, and you could have an extra hooray if you wanted to do that. So that's the supplies for the cake card. And then the supplies for the last one here are these here, fun balloons, lots of goodies. So I took all of these supplies to make 3 cards, and I cut up all the pieces, and I made 12 cards. I quadrupled what you can get from 3 cards. These are extra pieces. You actually get more than this, but just note that there's a lot of extra little tiny things, and so I added those. I took those all, divided them by 3, and then divvied them out so that I'm using a third of these as well. So let's play around and start creating. I think I've shared everything I needed to share. I'm just going to look through my notes here. Sit back and watch, enjoy the live, or you can log in if you're watching on YouTube. Log into your Google account, which is connected to YouTube. Just log into it, and then you can chime in on the chat. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to mention? This is the August kit, Time for Cake. We just got it. The kits ship like around mid-month or so. And that's it. Oh, the price. In the U.S., because we get them in Canada or the U.S., it's a North American product only, sorry to say, for those of you in Europe and South Pacific. But the kits are $25 in the U.S. plus tax. Now, you can purchase a bunch of them at once, and so the price varies. If you want to buy a bunch at once, you can save. Okay, let's start. Let's start with our trimmer. Okay, we're going to take our basic white cardstock, and of the 4 sheets of white and the 2 sheets of navy, we're going to do the same thing except for one of the whites we're going to cut separately and differently, and I'm going to show you that later. But for all the rest of them, the 3 whites and the 2 navies, we're going to do this. So we're going to bring the paper into our trimmer so it's tall, and we're going to bring this edge to the 4 1/4 inch mark. Use our scoring blade, which I've marked with the word score, and we're going to press, okay? Thanks, Ashley. Hi, Karen. How are you? Karen's from Indiana. Yay! I love when you guys say where you're from. Like Diana just said, she's from Maine. It's so fun to read everybody's comments. Okay, now we're going to bring the edge here to the 5 1/2 inch mark. Okay, so we've rotated it, and now we're going to cut. And that's a really quick way to make 2 card bases at the same time. We're going to take and fold them in half, and now that we have that crease line going through the middle, it's a lot easier to fold them in half. You could do it without the scoring blade, but man oh man, that scoring blade comes in handy. So now we have a couple card bases ready to go. Okay, I am going to put those over here because we have everything ready actually, and I'm going to start in with this one. We'll just move these out of the way so they're not distracting all of us. And I have to hit a button on my iPad here. Sorry, once in a while we have to do things on our device. Okay, it's a very nice birthday kit set. Now, they're not always birthday, just so you know. Sometimes you get beautiful florals, thinking of you. Sometimes they're focused on the holidays. Sometimes I don't know, they vary. We've had ones that were like baseball related and stuff like that. Okay, so for the first card, I'm actually going to use this whole entire base. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's a waste. But I thought it'd be fun to take some of the card sketches that are in the annual catalog and to kind of use those as inspiration. And one of them, I don't know, it just worked really well with this. So we're going to fold this in this direction, and then we're going to fold it back again this way. Now, because half of 4 1/4, which is this measurement, is 2 1/8, we're going to just use our scoring blade again, and we're going to score here to help give us a little bit easier time at folding this. And now we'll bring it down and fold it, and now we have what's called a Z-fold card. Okay, so we need to cover up that cake with a little bit of stuff. And so I'm going to bring in my first little cheat board over here in the back, and that is this one. Okay, from the card base that looks like this, I cut it into all of these little pieces. This is the one that we'll be using, and I'll let you know right now that it measures 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 inches, and that's how I cut it from the card base. This is the score line going through it, and that I cut this down here first at 3 1/2, and then I rotated that piece and cut at 4 3/4. This ends up coming off, and this ends up coming off. Okay, so let's take those 2 pieces and just put them here for now. We'll come back to that board. So this is the perfect size to cover that. And we're going to cover that with dimensionals. Before we do that, let's go ahead and flip this piece over, and we're going to adhere it, and we're going to stick it down pretty much like in the middle. So I'll use my seal adhesive, a little tape there. Doesn't have to be perfect, just eyeball it wherever the middle looks like the middle to you. Okay, so there's that. Here's that piece, that hooray that we mentioned before, that if you peel it carefully, you can take and use, and I'll show you in just a second here. I'm going to stick this down, and we're going to stick it down like that. Ta-da! Okay, and if you cut carefully, you can get that extra hooray out of there. All right, let's put that over there. This candle is one of the fun candles that you can get. I need to clean this off. This is the last one I used on my last live, and I didn't change it out. I thought it was perfectly clean, but it has some little adhesive goobers on it. Okay, so these little candle die cut pieces are meant to be stamped on. So now we pull out our stamps that come in the kit, and this is the one that coordinates with it. So we'll use our clear block. I guess I have some over there too. We're going to pick it up, open up our ink pad. Hey Joan, it's okay if you're late. All good. We're going to ink that up, and then you're just going to, and make sure that it's over like something that's contrasting color, because if you put it on something like this, it's really hard to see the difference between where your candle stops and starts. So either have it on a really dark surface or have it on a really light surface, and stamp it down. And that photopolymer allows you to see all the way through. And now we have a candle with the rose gold little reflected shine. All right, this piece is going to go tucked behind here. And so I'm going to use that multi-purpose liquid glue, but you could use these little glue dots that come in the kit. Now I'd like to take my multi-purpose liquid glue and transfer it into a fine tip bottle like this. This is linked in my favorite extras on my website. So if you go to stampyourartout.com and you click shop and then choose my favorite extras, you're going to see an area where I refer to things that I love that aren't just Stampin' Up! Products, okay? So this glue bottle, and there is a video in my channel that gives you help in filling this. The trick is to not let the glue get on the side edges as you're filling it up. Okay, so this I'm going to use, it's the same kind of glue. I like to hold my glue in these wonderful containers. I noticed that Ashley Carlson is on with us right now. Her company makes these awesome products, and this is one of them to store my glue into. All right, so we're going to go ahead and peel off any dry glue that's on the edges here, and then just grab and lay it in there like that. Pick it up, and I could use my, let's just do this. I'll use my take your pick tool to get it started. Grab it with my hands and stick it right behind here so that my candle's coming out the top. It's nice and shiny. Now we're going to add this to the front of the card, and we're going to do that with dimensionals. Now we have these small mini dimensionals that come in the kit. I'm going to grab the larger ones because they cover more surface. All right, so I'm going to add this to the front of my card. I know that I can stick this side down. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3 dimensionals right along here. Those are safe to add there, but I don't know approximately where to put. Oh my gosh, Rachel, you have to look up once in a while. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to leave that in that spot the whole time. The Country Hive, thank you for chiming out their name too, Michelle. Yes, the Country Hive. Did I not even say that? Ashley Carlson owns the Country Hive. Okay, so you can see here that I don't have a lot of room to kind of figure out where that goes. So instead, I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to lay it next to this folded edge, and I'm going to put the adhesive here so that I don't go too high or too low. This piece here will allow me to see how far, and I can just kind of mirror what I have on my opposite piece. So we'll stick one here and here. And then, to make it easy, I like to peel off just one side. And some, not always, but most of the time I like to do, especially if you're using lots of adhesive like this, I like to peel off one side and leave these covered. That way I'm only dealing with one edge. Like I can lay this edge down and it's not going to stick into the middle there. So I'm covering up my cake. I'm looking for that cake, and I'm making sure that I am covering it up as I'm putting this down on here. And if you have the same size piece and it's centered, it's going to do that, okay? Now I can peel this up in a way, not really peel it, but lift it, get my fingers under there, get the backings off of those dimensionals, and stick that down. Last but not least, I told you that I had some extra embellishments. These are the iridescent faceted gems. And now we'll use the take your pick tool again, the little gummy end. We'll grab a large and a small. And I think that's all I did on this one. I'm looking at my other piece. Okay, so the inside now looks a little plain, but that's where you have all of those stamps. And I'm going to bring this back in so you can see the sheet. You have lots of choices. You could do make a wish, you could do happy birthday, you could write a message. So by leaving off the cake layer, frosting layers in between there, right? If you leave those off, then you have room to write. So we're going to grab our fork. We're going to put just a little adhesive here and here. And we're going to stick that onto our plate in front of our cake, like that. And now we have our finished card. You could put more embellishments on the inside, but just keep in mind that when you have something that's raised like that, it can puncture through your card layers. So you want to be careful not to do too much on the inside. So there, or too much 3D, I should say, on the inside. So there is that finished card. That's one. Okay, I used a lot of pieces on this, but and even a huge card base. But you'll see by adding those extra card bases, we're going to do great. Okay, those are the ones. Oh, I put a little tab on here. And that is to remind me to show you in the catalog. This is our annual catalog here. I'm going to zoom out again because I think we're kind of close. And we were. So this is our annual catalog. And on page 22, and some of you that watched Wednesday's video know this, but on page 22, we have 22 card templates. And these card templates are what... I'm going to stick this over here. Okay. These card templates are what I used for inspiration for many of the card layouts today. The ones that are marked are the layouts that I used, okay? So this one is this one right here. Now I didn't do it exactly the same way. I don't have like looped twine behind there or anything, but you can see that I have a smaller layer here, not as large as the base, but slightly smaller, and then I have a horizontal piece going through the middle. And that is that one. Okay? All right. Next. Doom to doom. Where was I laying this piece? Okay, that one goes here. So I have more card templates to go. Let's go move on to our second card. Our second card, and this one I'm going to show you beforehand. So it looks like this. So we're going to grab our white card base. We're going to grab one of our cake layer pieces and flip it over. And I need to bring in another one of these boards. This time I'm going to show you this one, and I've cut it into 4 sections. When you get this piece, it actually has 1, 2, 3. Do you see the score lines on there? 1, 2, 3 sections. 4, because this is together. 5. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections if you look at the score lines on the back side. I've taken and cut along that score line here. I've cut here where the white and blue separate, which is also on a score line, and then I took this piece and cut it in half. We're going to move these more to the middle. We're going to grab that piece, and that's the one we need for this card. Plus, we're going to bring this board back. And we're now going to use this piece. This is slightly bigger, not too much bigger, but slightly. This one measures 3 3/4 by 5. So it's 1/4 of an inch bigger in each direction. And I cut that from the opposite card half, okay? Once I cut that, I had a strip down here that I cut in half. So these 2 little pieces here measure just under 2 inches. They are 1 7/8 by 1/2 of an inch each. And then this strip down the middle, just so you know, is 1 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, we will come back to these pieces and I'll just set them over here for now. All right, and we'll come back to that board later too. So let's take these pieces here, and we have those score lines already in there. By the way, we're having some decking done on in our backyard. So if you hear any tools, any power tools, that is Dana. Yay for Dana. Okay, and then we're going to fold this direction. And now we have a little tiny piece that opens like that. Okay, you can't really write on the inside, right? But that's okay because our card base folds. Now you could also take and just use 1/4 of a sheet of white and have this not open, but then right on the back side. I considered doing that and I was like, we might as well use up this whole piece because we have it. So we're going to grab that, we're going to flip this over, we're going to put adhesive on the back side. We're going to stick that down right in the middle of our card base. we're going to grab this piece and do the same thing. So this one gets added flat because it's already got dimension when it pops up into that another Z-fold, right? Center that and stick that down in the middle. And then this piece is the one that's going to get the dimension. And again, we have little adhesive pieces. So we're going to use our dimensionals for that. So bring those. And then we'll grab our stamps. And this time we're going to use the one that says, "It's time for cake." And believe it or not, this stamp fits on that piece. At first I was like skeptical. I thought, oh my gosh, is it going to fit? And it does. So we'll grab our D size block, which is the same size block that you get with your first kit. We'll ink that up with our Night of Navy ink. Again, if you're coming in late, these are paper pumpkin kits. This is the August kit. I need to put this against something darker. This is the August kit, and it comes with the ink, it comes with the stamps, it comes with everything you need to make 3 of 3 different cards, but you just need to add scissors, like a paper snips. And I like to do alternates. I like to change up the things that are in the kit and make them different. And I'm quadrupling right now. I'm taking the supplies for 3 of the kit cards and turning them into 12. I like doing that. I don't know. You know, it's fun to have a lot of birthday cards. Why would I need a lot of birthday cards? Because they're great gifts for people, and there's always birthdays, right? But you could take and bundle up a set of 12 cards, and you could gift them to somebody as a birthday gift or as a Christmas gift or whatever, you know what I mean? Okay, now where do we put the dimensionals that go on the back side of this? You can take and lay it down like that, pull it away, and stick one down. Or you could put it on the back side, lay it down, and then estimate where you would need to put the next one and stick it back here. But it's a tiny enough piece where hopefully it's not too difficult. Again, I'm just going to take the adhesive off of one side for now, making sure that this dimensional is within that space. Lay it down, peel off the backing here, and we'll stick that down too. Now we're going to bring in some sparkles. Let's grab those iridescent faceted gems, our Take Your Pick tool. And I think I have a big one outside. I have a small one between these layers here. And these you'll see both of them when you open up the card. But I do have one more that I added, and I stuck that one over here because on the front side of the card, I just felt that that space needed a little bit more because it was solid navy. So when we open it up, we still have a couple sparkles there that you can see on the inside. And then you can take and open the whole card and write on the inside, put stamps. You could stamp the inside with another sentiment. You could again cut so that you only use a quarter of a sheet and just have the card so you flip it over and you write on the back side that way. But there is that finished card. That's number 2. Oh, and it does have a little template that goes with it. So let's find that template. Let's open up our catalog again to page 22. And that one is actually, which one is it again? That one is this one here. That's the one I used for inspiration. Now, the layer, you can see that there's a layer on top of the card base. The layer that I did is a tiny bit smaller, and this piece goes lower, but it's just for inspiration. You don't have to follow templates to the T. Next card. The next card is not following any of the templates, but it's going to use this strip here. It's going to use this piece, a candle. Let's go ahead and stamp that candle right now. How's everybody doing today? I'm peeking up at the comments again right now. Sometimes I just get lost in the teaching and I forget to look at comments. But thankfully we have Trisha and Lisa with us. All right, so we have that candle done. You might as well just do that to all your candles when you get them. We're gonna flip this piece over, and I feel like there's a lot of white there, so let's bring in one of our boards again. Let's take this one. Look at all the pieces I cut our blue quarter sheet into. So this started out as 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but we cut it into all those pieces. Let me tell you what they measure. Might as well do them all at once. This one is 2 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. That's the one we're keeping for this card. Then I cut down to 3 inches and cut that in half. So this is 1.5 inches tall by 2 1/4, 1.5 by 2 1/4. That's what those both measure. Then on this one, I cut, so it was all together like this, but I cut off this little strip 1/2 inch here. So I separated that piece out, and then I cut this piece, which was 2.5 inches. That's what this is, 2.5 by 1/2. And I cut this 2.5 piece here in half. Let's make sure. Yep, 2.5. I cut it in half at 1 1/4, and then these pieces measure 1 3/4 inches. So let's just grab those off the board because we've already talked about them. And we'll save those for the future cards. Alrighty. So, hang on a minute. Okay, so next, let's take and quickly whip this card together. It's not going to be too difficult to do this one. We're going to leave the score line in there. There is a score line. You can see it much better on the back side. And we're just going to leave that in there for some decoration. Plus, it's going to go further to the left just to kind of guide our embellishment that we're going to put on top. So we're going to have the score line further to this side. I'm going to lay this down on here with about 1/8 inch of white showing. Oh, I forgot to fold my cards in half. Do that first just so that you make sure that you have your card correctly on the front side. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can see both the back and the front. Like if this was folded like that and I saw both of those layers, I would flip it over and that would be the front side of my card. But we don't have that issue going on. All right, our candle, we're going to pop up with dimensionals. And you could use the smaller dimensionals here that come in the kit. And sometimes if you cut them, you can make them even tinier. So don't be afraid to cut those dimensionals. Don't be afraid to use up edges. The whole sheet is sticky. Okay, we're going to lay those pieces down in here so that we have 2 narrow, tiny adhesive pieces on that. The next one, this one here, we're going to stamp that. Grab our ink. Sorry, the ink pad is kind of messy. Grab a block. Now we have the C block. So we have the B, the D, and the C. And for the C block, I'm going to add a stamp that's actually kind of curvy, but it works on these not so perfect rectangular pieces. They are not rectangular, and so it works on these really well. We'll ink this up. And again, let's just get a dark background here so we can stamp it correctly. And we'll just center that and stamp it down. And it's a curved stamp again, and you'll see why in a minute. We have a couple pieces where it fits really nicely, but that still works, right? It still works on there. This piece we'll add next. Oops. And that's going to go here about 1/8 inch away. And then we'll add our happy birthday, and we're going to pop that up with a couple dimensionals. And just for speed, the larger dimensionals, that's why I'm using them. Again, you get dimensionals in this kit. They're just the tinier ones, which I just shared with you. So we will put this down, and we're going to stick it down about here. And then we'll grab the backings off of this. This is a super quick card. But you know, just a little glitz on that candle makes it just shine, doesn't it? Isn't that fun? Happy birthday with a little glitzy candle there that's following that score line. So that's the, that's why I put it there. And then again, you could stamp whatever you want on the inside. That one did not follow a template in the catalog. This next one does though. So let's bring in the pieces for that. We've got our card base. And oh, this little Post-it sticky thingy is here to tell you that this piece of twine is 3 inches long and this one is 6 inches long. So you get this excuse me, you get this rose gold twine in the kit. And for the 3 cards in the kit, you get enough to make to use 8 on one style card and 18 on another style. So I took and I combined the 18 and the 8, and then I divvied it out amongst these 12 cards. So on this card, I'm using a 3-inch and a 6-inch piece. Let's fold our base. Thank you, Kathy. Still morning here. Oh, what time is it? I'm guessing it's, instead of 10:30, it's like 9:30 where you're at, Karen? All right. Yeah, tell us what time it is where you're watching, you guys. It might be noon. It might be 7 o'clock in the evening, right? Okay, we're going to use our balloon. We're going to use this piece, and we're going to poke out. Oops. We're going to poke out that little circle. Sometimes I use those, but for this, I'm not. Yes, you can use every little piece of your kit. We're going to flip this one around. Most of the time I like to have that on the other side, but for this layout, I want it here. I'm going to grab my stamps, which I thought I misplaced. Here they are. The one that says Make a Wish, and we'll use another C-size block, ink, and stamp. And there's enough contrast on this one so that I could see the difference. So we've got that one stamped. Then for this piece, we're going to take our small 3-inch twine. We're going to poke through from the back side. We're going to take that loop and we're going to grab those ends here. I'll try to do it where you can see. We're going to grab those ends and we're going to stick them through the loop. Okay, so that loop is going to go on the opposite side and we're going to cinch. And you kind of have to shimmy it up and down to cinch. And that piece is done. This piece here, we're going to take and make 2 little rabbit ears. So we have about the same twine on each side. We're going to do an overhand knot, and it will allow us to get a pretty even bow. Oops, there we go. So we have loops, and we have ends, and everything looks pretty even. And it doesn't have to be a perfect looking bow, right? Twine has its own mind. It does what it wants. We'll use the larger of those 2 sets. This one is what we're going to put on next, and we're going to grab our seal adhesive and just put that on the back side of each of these pieces. And on the back of this one, oh yeah, I used dimensionals on that one. Okay, so we're going to lay this in the middle. We're going to use it as a guide. And then we're going to take this and we're going to stick it down onto the card so it's overlapping slightly. And that measurement, I want to say 5/8 of an inch, maybe. Oh, it's a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch. Let's move that over a little bit. Do that again. About 5/8 of an inch is what I want to achieve here. So we're going to stick that down. This has not been stuck down because I didn't have the adhesive right to the edge, but that kind of guides us to know that we need to have some overlap there. So if we put this one down 5/8 of an inch away from the edges, you can see it's overlapping again here. So this piece now, when we stick it on, will overlap the blue. We'll grab 3 larger dimensionals on that, stick them back here. 3 is good. Tables like to have at least 3 legs. Then we'll put this onto our card so that it's about 1/8 of an inch from the right edge. And I just realized that I probably could have done a better job at checking, but you can see both edges here. This should have been the front. Oh well. All right, now we're going to use our balloon. Same thing. We'll put 3 dimensionals back here, like that, to help it stand up and off the page, off the card. And then we're going to cover up this little spot here so that we don't see the white in the corner. And we're just going to angle the balloon a bit and stick that down. Now we're going to use the glue dots that come in the kit. These things that a lot of us go, oh my gosh, they're so hard to use, but they're perfect for twine. So if you take and lift one off, then you stick it down part way, keeping our take your pick tool under it. Then you get under there, remove the backing. Backing's off of it. And then you kind of roll it onto itself. You have this perfect little base to add the knot portion of your twine. So there we have our fourth card. And our fourth card actually follows a template. So here we have the two, and again, stamp whatever you want on the inside, write a novel. Okay, our fourth card here uses that template right, oopsie, my finger was over it, right there. That one right there. Okay, so we'll put those over there, and now we'll work on the next one. The next card also uses a white base. You guys are like, when is she going to use the navy bases? For this one, we're going to use these cake pieces, these smaller navy pieces, and this one flipped over again, but we'll use the stamp that says Lost Count, because there's a lot of candles on this card, so we might as well make a little funny out of it. Ink it up, stamp it down in the middle, and we want this one centered because it's going in the middle of the card. Flip all of these over. Ooh, look at that. I caught it beforehand. See how you can see both sides? Flip it over. Okay, flip all of these over and put adhesive on the back side, whether it's the glue or the seal adhesive or the tear and tape, whatever floats your boat, right? Okay, so next we're going to flip these two, and these are going to be our first pieces we add. And I think I switched them. This is why I don't use glue that often. All right, so we want them like this, and we want them to come to the center with about 1/4 of an inch on the bottom, down here, and about 1/4 of an inch on top, and a tiny little gap in the middle. They have some wiggle room here, so this is good. We can wiggle before they completely stick down. There we go. Then these two pieces will just fill in the gaps. One there and one here. This one goes on top with 2 dimensionals. And because we have the candles on here, and remember the candle pieces have the rose gold on them, we pretty much have a lot of sparkle on there already. So I didn't add any extra sparkle from the iridescent faceted gems on that one. I think it pretty much just, you know, screams pretty already, right? Lost count, and then whatever you want to put on the inside. This one follows a template too. So let's open up that catalog, turn to the page. That one follows this template right here in the corner. We'll put this one over here, and we're on to the next card. Now the next one involves some envelope cutting. So we're gonna now clear off some space here. I'm gonna demonstrate, and then I'm gonna show you one that is laid out, okay? So let's take our trimmer, and I'll show you what I did to every single envelope. They're all the same. All right, so we're gonna cut to open this up. It's connected on 3 parts. If you look on the inside of your envelope, your design is about 1/4 of an inch away from the outside edge here. So we're gonna go to the 1/4 inch mark, and then we're gonna go between that mark and the next one. So we're just going a little over, and we're slicing. We'll do the same thing. You can see if I lift this up, we got it right on that pink. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. Go right to the 1/4 inch mark. I'm using the measurements on this side of the trimmer. And then go between that mark and the next one and slice. This is just discarded stuff. You don't need those. Open it up. And now we have a nice clean edge here on both the top and the bottom. We're going to cut where the white separates from the pink. Make sure it's straight up there, and I'm putting this in the channel of the trimmer and this in the channel of the trimmer where the colors separate, and cutting. The last thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this piece at 4 inches, and I will have a layer that is 4 inches by 5 1/4 for a future card. This piece here, I'm going to trim just beyond, so inside that score line. If you have a sharp blade, you can cut right on it, but it's oftentimes best to just cut right on the either side of a real sharp scored spot like that. Then on these, we're going to remove the two sides, but before we do that, we're going to flatten this side out. So we're going to bring this to the 3 1/4 inch mark. Get rid of all this. Then we're going to cut at 3/8. So 1, 2, 3, 3/8. It's going to go here. And that will give us about 3/8 on the other side. But what you want to look at here is you want to look at the left measurement. We want that to be 4 1/2. So that kind of made this not 3/8 anymore. There was some wiggle room when we cut the edges off initially. Okay, so now we have a piece here that is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. This we'll also use later. So this is these are layers for other cards, but keep them. And then this is what we want to work on for this card. So we're going to take the flap and we're going to use this flat edge and we're going to bring it to the 1 5/8 inch mark. We're going to make sure that that edge is parallel to all these lines on the trimmer. We're going to hold it still, put the arm of our trimmer down, and cut. We don't need this top part, plus it has adhesive on it. And we're going to try to get rid of as much adhesive on these corners as possible. So for this next step, we're going to cut at 3/4 inch. Oops, use the cutting blade. 3/4 inch. And that gets rid of most of that extra stuff there. And then on this side, we're going to cut at 3 3/4 inches. So it's almost 3/4 inch, but it's not quite. All right, so we have a strip here that we're going to divide into 3. It measures 1 5/8 right here, and we want 3 equal sections. So 3 3/4 divided by 3 is 1 1/4 inch. So we're going to cut, I'm using the measurements on this side, 1 1/4 inch, 1 1/4 inch, and then on this side you'll see 1 1/4 inch. So we're going to cut that right in half. We have 3 equal pieces. Let's bring in that board. This is the board that shows you all the cuts. If I flip it this way, it'll be easier to see. Sharp blades are super helpful. You're correct, Lisa. Thank you. So here you can see all the cuts that I did. It's this piece, and these 3 pieces that we're using. All the rest is just scrap, but it showed you how we did the cutting. So we have our envelopes ready to go. I am so much more prepared than I was on Wednesday. All right. This one follows another template in the book, so in the catalog. So if you're looking at the catalog as we're doing this, I bet you can already tell which one I'm doing. We have rectangular pieces, 9 of them. All right, so for this, it's hard to lay them down so that they will work unless you're doing them with just a little bit of adhesive. So we're just going to put a tab, like a little tiny spot, and we're going to put it where we think it'll work. And then we'll do our next piece, and we'll do that to all of our pieces initially, and then we'll come in and we'll even them out and add more adhesive to connect them down. So I won't do that with, this one actually worked out really well. Looks like I eyeballed it pretty good. I won't do that with, I won't do all those steps with this one. I'll show you the other finished one. But do you see the pattern I'm doing with this? Now you could have more than just 3 patterns of paper. You could have, I'm going to do something on purpose here. You could have more than that many patterns of paper. But the 3 works out really well as far as like evenly spacing them. Like this one would go 1, 2, 3. This one would go here. Oh, good. I can already show you that I've kind of gotten off. 1, 2, 3. And then this one goes in the other corner. So see how they're kind of off kilter? They're not perfect. Well, I only have a little of adhesive, so I can maneuver. And I think it's best if you start with your outside corners. Make sure that they look the best. Oh, and your flowers, you want to have your stems going the right way. This one actually has a position to it. So we're going to do all of our corner pieces, and then we can come in and we can kind of like put these a little bit better, spaced out better, okay? And if you want them all to be connected real tight, then you may have to shift those corners again. All right, so play around with the pieces until you get them right, but I would say start with the corners, shift everything around, and then squish them down together a little bit if you need to. And that card will look like this in the end. Oh, I forgot to demonstrate that. This stamp, remember that stamp that I said is curved? Well, that goes onto that piece. Okay, and that's what it's meant for, but again, it will work with lots of other things too. It just has more of a whimsical design. And then the twine, there's twine that goes on the back side too. So the twine, we should do this right now. Sorry, let's just do that really quick because I was going to demonstrate that. So we'll grab our happy birthday, we'll ink it up, we'll stamp it down, we'll flip it over. And I ran adhesive like this all across that back side, like that. Then I took this length of twine, and this length of twine is, I believe, let me use a measurement here, 8 inches? No, it's 9. It's 9 inches. And you're just going to start with putting it on the back side, loop it, make that loop kind of come together like that, cross it in the back side, loop it again, and gosh oh golly, if you want to, you can even add another loop, right? But just make it look fun and festive. And I do it one loop at a time. I know a lot of people take and they loop it first and then they smack their piece down on it, but sometimes you can make it look too perfect. If you loop it and smack it down, then you got 2 even circles. You don't have a look that's more, more random looking. This looks more random to me. Now what do? We take our dimensionals and we put them on top, really close together. And I think I added about 4 on the other one also. But that will help hold all of that twine in place. And I won't take the backings off because you know I'm not done with the front part. But that card here follows the template on page 22, and it's this one. Yay! All right, next one. The next one is using one of our envelope inserts and an extra piece of white. Do you remember when I said that 4th piece you're going to cut differently on the white? So let me show you how I cut that one differently. Let's fold that, stick it down. Again, this is non-directional, so it doesn't matter. So there's that. We're going to use this in this card, but let me grab this now. So for your 4th sheet of white, you are going to get 1 card base from it, but on the other side, you're going to get a layer that is 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to be for one of the insides. You're also going to get a piece that you can trim off 1/4 of an inch from, and then you have a piece that is 4 1/4 inches wide. Oh, I know why. Okay, who cares where you cut it? We've got a piece that is 3 inches by 4 1/4, and this one is 2 1/2 by 4 1/4. I think what I did is I cut it in half first. I did. Okay, you guys. I cut it in half first. No, I know what I did. I first cut off my 4 inches. Okay, here's a 4-inch wide piece, and then that left me with a 4 1/2-inch wide piece over here. So I trimmed off that extra quarter here. That's why this one ended up being 4 1/4. Okay, so let's grab all of those layers and bring those in. And for this one, I'm using this piece, We're going to grab some fun stamps that come in that set. We have 3 of them to use on here. We're going to grab this one, and this one. So let's now take our D block, make sure that this is not curved, because those long stamps can get curvy if you put them down directly. Let's grab another block and pick that one up, and then we'll pick that one up. Okay, so we have our stamps, and we're going to use the one that says Make a Wish, and we're going to stamp that one first at the very top. Oh, we also need our small candle. So there's a lot more stamping involved in this one. We're going to stamp that one nice and high and centered. This one involves a lot more stamping. Here's our little tiny candle piece. Let's put it against a dark background. Again, you could stamp all of these all at once you get your kit. Because if you're going to use them as candles, that's the one that fits, right? Okay, and then you can take, actually you could use any of these on there. You could use this one to get a different look. Just thought of that. Okay, this one is going to get stamped. Oh, nope, this one's going to get stamped first. This is the medium size one, and we're going to stamp that one so that it is coming up through the middle. So it starts at the bottom of that layer and stamps down, coming right through the middle. This one will get inked up and stamped just to the left of it, about 1/4 inch away. And if it's not exact, it's totally fine. Then we're going to stamp that medium one again and stamp that down. Now, if you have trouble stamping straight, tilt them on purpose, right? Who cares? And we'll use the small one. This is the one that goes on that blue candle, and we'll stamp that over here. So now we have like this multi-layered looking candle effect, right? Next, we're going to stamp our small one again. Oh, I know what I did. I laid this candle down. You could stamp one underneath it if you want to as a guide, but I laid it down, and then I took my medium one and I used that as a guide, but then pulled it away. And I stamped this one down like that, and then did another one like that. Now those kind of got squished together. That's okay. They're candles. They don't have to be perfect. Then I put this one up on dimensionals and stuck it down here. Then I took that little light, like shining light, and stamped that right above to leave a white circle above all of those. Now, if you want to, you can take and stamp off to get a lighter sparkle. So you take and stamp onto a scrap paper like this, and then you stamp it on here and you get a lighter look. You could even take and stamp dark, and then before stamping again, stamp it down here. Now this one kind of got off the edge of the paper, but the more times you stamp it, the lighter that will look. So it depends on how light you want that little spray of shine to go. Okay, this one didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it. I can flip it over and do it again. But this would get added with dimensionals. And then I'm going to show you the end result. You're going to pop that layer up onto this piece with dimensionals, and it's going to look like this. This does not follow any of the templates in the book, in the catalog. I added a couple little sparkles here because there was just that one little sparkle there, and I thought it needed something extra. Now, if you have rose gold sparkly gems, you might want to add those instead of the ones that I have. Right now, Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry any rose gold sparkly gems like that, but they have copper ones, so you could use like the copper. There's copper, silver, and gold, and that's pretty close. All right, let's move to, oops, forgot to grab this last card base here. Let's take and fold that. For this one, we're going to use this layer and add that straight on. And then we're going to use the one that is 4 1/4 inches tall, but a little bit wider. Oh, you know what it is, you guys? I messed up. I think I messed up. Hang on, let me look. Let me look. I did. I messed up. No wonder why. Do you see this? Were you all yelling out to me? See, this is... Look at that. I used the wrong one. This is the narrow one. The narrow one was supposed to be on this card. See, I knew I was doing something wrong because these weren't fitting. Anyways, use the wider one on that one. Okay. Oh my goodness sakes. The narrow one goes on this one. And we'll just quickly stamp that. I know we can kind of, I use the thinner basic white cardstock. You can kind of see through there. But when you put it up against something dark, it does tend to disappear. So take that sparkle stamp again, stamp it off, stamp it down, stamp it off and down, and then ink up one more time, stamp off and down. This would get added here. You can see how it, like that image disappeared now, right? It's gone. You'd put that up on dimensionals, so there's a little lift under it, and then the sparkles will get added inside the little shine. That one also does not follow a template that's in the catalog, but that is the finished look for that card. Thanks, you guys. Okay, and then we have our navy cards. So for our navy card number 1, we're going to be using these pieces. And remember again, you have extras of these, so that's why I'm using those. So if some of you were counting your pieces from your kit and you didn't see the beginning, note that you have those extra pieces, you have some extra candles, you have some extra frosting layers, so grab those. Now because we have a navy base, we need to have a layer on the inside to write on. This is where I would bring in that 4" by 5 1/4" white is on this first card. We're going to grab, that candle section here, and you can see I had a little bit of navy that I didn't quite cut off there. That's okay because it's going against a navy background, so you're not really going to see that. Again, you're going to ink up this candle, and that's going to be an embellishing piece over here. And then these pieces are going to become the sentiment strip. So you're going to stamp that with the happy birthday like we did on that other piece. So that real kind of curvy happy birthday goes on here. You're going to ink or connect those together with adhesive. And that is going to get stuck down here. The candle is going to go on the top right there. And the things that get dimensionals are the back corners of this piece, the back of these two pieces that are already connected, the back of these two pieces, and the back of the top of the candle, because the bottom is going to connect to the white when you stick it down. So you just need a little lift under there. Okay, then when you see the finished one, I'm going to show you the finished one here. The finished one looks like this. And you're going to say to yourself, well, wait a minute, you put dimensionals under this and under this, so is it 2 dimensionals high? It's not really. I mean, it looks like it when you turn it this way. You can kind of see, where do I get it? Right there, maybe? I don't know. Can you see it? There are 2 dimensionals high in there, except they're not in the same spot. So this will flatten down, this will flatten down, and when you mail it, it will only be 1 dimensional high because your other dimensionals are here, 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 and here. So that is another one. I added some of the faceted gems to give it a bit more sparkle. And look we have another tab. That means that that one followed a template. Let's find that template here in the catalog. That one is, that one is this one right here. Ta-da! Pretty cool. All right, next cards. We have 2 more, or 3 more, 2 that look very similar. You're going to fold your base in half. You're going to add a white layer. Oh, Rachel, where are we getting the white layers from? These are the white layers from the envelopes. You have 3 navy cards left. This is what those are going to go into. Okay, those are going to be the inside layers. For the two cards that we would be doing now, you're going to have a balloon each. You're going to have the back sides of these two. Remember those from the beginning? Those are going to get stamped on the back side with the word celebrate. So that's another stamp that comes in the kit that we haven't used yet. And then we're going to use these two balloons. Those are going to get stamped onto two other layers that you don't see right now. Let me grab those. We're not actually going to put these together because we are getting close to the end. And a lot of the things that I've shared with you are things that you've already seen. So we're going to grab those. Now, how did we get those? I cut it exactly in half. I cut it exactly in half to get these two different layers. And just so that we have something dark to go against here, we'll just put it down. So for this one, I added the floral balloon. That's the larger of the two because I wanted to kind of even out the space. So I'm going to grab that balloon, ink it up in my ink, and I'm going to stamp it down right here. And it kind of evened out that space a bit so that when I bring the extra balloon in, which I put away already, hang on, here she is. When I bring in that extra balloon, I can stick it down, and this one really only needs one dimensional, right in this space here in the middle, and my sentiment piece will go here. And it'll make everything look real even, right? Because before it was kind of lopsided. So that one's going to say celebrate. It's going to get stuck down so that the bottom of the balloon kind of goes over the top of it a bit, but this is also up on dimensionals, which is why I'm lifting it. That will get adhered to your card base, also with dimensionals in the four corners. The other one, this one here, same thing, only now the sentiment lifted up on dimensionals is going to be off to the right a bit. So we kind of need to fill in this area. So you see this gap? That gap is going to get the smaller balloon over here. We're just going to stamp that smaller one in that space. And then our balloon is going to get centered again, and it's going to look nice and even because we've already filled in that space. And so those two cards in the end look like this and this. Sweet and simple. Very fun, right? And they follow, and there you can see the envelope layers on the inside. They follow one more template in the book. And on page 22, it is this one in my mind, okay? I know that there's not string going across there, but basically it's a tiny little area smack dab in the middle with lots of what we'd call white space around it, right? Lots of space around it. So it's a small little focal point on your card. And then the last card is this one. And the way that I did that is the same as all the other ones, where I stuck this piece down here. This is the remaining piece. I had two cake layers left, and I chose these two for the end so that they would, be light, nice and light colored. So you might want to save those and not use the back sides of those on your other cards. They would go here, and then this piece is from your blue paper that you had that you cut up, and that goes right here. Stamp the celebrate off to the left, raise all of those up onto dimensionals, put a candle, because you have one more candle left too, put a stamped candle right here across it all using the fine tip glue pen. Just connect and connect. So that's not separately raised, it's just kind of sitting on top. And then take your last bit of twine, which I believe is 8 inches. Yep, 8 inches of twine, tie it in a bow, and stick it down there with one of the glue dots from the kit. And that's how you get those cards. So let's bring all those cards back in. Again, these kits are considered a subscription, but you don't have to get multiple kits, right? You don't have to get month after month after month. Give it a try. Use the link in the video description. Give it a try and see what you think. It's nice to be able to have kits to take with you. When you're traveling, you can have creative stuff ready to go. You can take them to events, your kids' events. If you're a busy mom and you still want to craft, that's one way to do it. I'm going to zoom out a bit here. So they're portable. They're also store really well. You don't have to have a huge craft room for kits. We also have a collection of kits called the Kits Collection, and that one is visible in the online store. So if getting a box in the mail as a surprise is not your thing, even though there's lots of alternate projects out there, so if you don't like the kit, you can look to us and you can say, hey, what else can I do from it? But if it's not your thing, you can purchase from the Kits Collection in the online store. And those are kits that you actually get to see before you buy. I see a dimensional. There it is. Oh, and this one's upside down. But seriously, give Paper Pumpkin kits a try. I've been designing with them since March of 2013 when they first came out. And I have alternates for every single kit. So now I'm going to take you to my blog. We're going to take a peek at the computer here. And I'm going to bring you over there. You can see here. Oops. So here's my website. Okay, sorry. I'll just click on this one more time. Oh, I know why I had that one up. Okay, anyways, let's go to this one. This is we'll just go from here. Okay, so when you're on my website, you can click on blog to see recent blog posts. You can click shop. You can click my community to learn more about joining my team. But up here is that main menu. And under shop, here's my favorite extras that I talked about. But also, you can go to the Paper Pumpkin one. And you can click on older Paper Pumpkin posts or recent ones. But older ones will take you back to really far past kits. The last one I entered in here was January of 2024, but it will go back to the beginning. And there is a link for every single kit. So if you are a person who's got some past kits, go to this page and click on them, or you can Google them if you don't want my ideas, but go here and you can see all the way back to the beginning of, here it is, March of 2013. Now, speaking of past kits, and I'm just going to pull us back over to the desktop. Speaking of past kits, how do you store your stuff? If you've been a collector over time and you join the Paper Pumpkin fan club, you're going to get some great ideas there. But I started at the beginning. These are like the first stamps. Oh, here's the first stamps. I started at the beginning collecting Paper Pumpkin stamps, and yes, they came in red rubber, in these mini albums that have pocket pages, and I just insert a little paper. I put a label on, put the name of the kit and the date, and that's how I've stored them. I've got all the pamphlets inside here. Then I've got this one here looks more recent, lots more recent stuff in there. Okay, lots of goodies. So I can always come to them, and they're held on my shelf back here. I just store them up here so I can grab past stamps whenever I want to. This is the most recent one, and I want to show you this because now we're getting these sheets and the stamps aren't coming on printed plastic anymore. So I'm just inserting that in with the stamp. And eventually I may put like a white, because I throw these in here and then I maybe organize once a year. I'm going to put like a white paper in there, and it'll help hold these so that they're not sliding around so much, because right now they slide. But if I had a white 6x4 piece in here, they would be staying still. So there's a storage idea for your stamps, your spots. I love these. These are called Tim Holtz Distress Holders, and I get them on Amazon. I just put a little bit of this stuff in there, that bubble wrap, and they have these little inserts in there, and they store the spots really well. So I close it up, flip it upside down, and store it, and I have my label going this way. All right, what's going on? We have Stampin' Up! News. I'm just going to share a couple things. Right now, the designer paper packs from the annual catalog are on sale at 15% off select designer paper packs. So you'll want to make sure you check that out. Again, go to my blog to get to the shop button, or just go to stampingup.com. If you're a demonstrator, shop from yourself. If you have a demonstrator, shop from them. give them some love and place an order today before the end of August. Also, if you have any bonus day coupons that you earned on July orders, make sure you redeem them by the end of August. Once August is done, they're gone. You can't use them anymore. Do I have anything else to say today? No, I think that's it. So I hope that you had fun and got some creative inspiration from what I shared. The blog post. I knew I was missing something. So normally I have my blog post connected to my videos. Today, right now during the live, it's not done. But I'm going to work on it because I didn't know exactly what I was going to share until this morning. And I started preparing the pieces and I'm like, I'm going to do these. I'm going to quadruple the cards from the kit. I'm going to take 3, turn them into 12. That's all I have time for, though. I don't have time for the page. I don't have time for that fun fold card. So we've already gone over time. So I just did those. I'm going to photograph them now. I'm going to watermark, add them to my blog post. It will take me a while. But check back later on tonight or tomorrow morning for sure. They will be up there. The link is already in the video description on YouTube, and I will transfer that link and all the information later on today onto the Facebook because I still have to get the supply list done. I'm a little behind. We went to the fair yesterday. Oh my gosh, you guys, we had so much fun. I'm going to just give you a little glimpse at what we did here. This is my family. Nick didn't come with me. He was busy working, but my son Luke, my husband, and they go on this ride every time we go now. This is a tradition. It's called the Skyrider. They call it the cranium shaker. But it is basically, it flips you up in the air. And they start out the day with that because they don't want to eat food beforehand. Then, of course, my husband, he used to work at the Star Tribune 7 years ago and before that. And so we had to stop there. My sister joined us. She was there because her son, Robbie, is a senior this coming year. My son Luke in the picture there is a senior also. And they don't go to the same school, but Robbie is in band. And so we came to the state fair that day because it was the first day of the fair, and the Anoka marching band performs on the first day of every parade. So they performed. She was a chaperone, helper in the parade, and we met up with her. And then we stopped at Nautical Bowls. Yay for all the Nautical Bowl helpers. You guys were awesome. And so they helped out with with my favorite food. I love going to Nautical Bowls. In fact, my son Luke and I are big fans. Whenever I go, I always call him and I say, what do you want? So we got some Nautical Bowls. And then there's the band marching. Robbie's back here. He's this guy. He's a bass drum player. Remember last year Nick was in the band. Those two were in the band together. We did the big, huge tower ride where you can go up above, and the Ferris wheel is right over here. So we got to see down and see lots of the fair. And then we ended the day with one of my favorite places to eat too, called The Hangar, where we got to have a yummy treat. And it is called, what's it called? The Island Hopper. It's a pineapple with rice and teriyaki sauce and chicken. Oh my gosh, it's so good. If you have not come to the Minnesota State Fair, fly out to Minnesota, drive out here. It is one of the top rated state fairs. That's what I've heard. And so check it out. All right, the next time that we do a live, and thank you, Lisa and Tricia, so much for moderating and being with us this long. We went over. But anyways, the next time I go live will be Wednesday. I go live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time, same place, YouTube or Facebook. And I hope that you all have a great weekend. We will see you next week for my next creative online paper crafting class. Now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.